Sarah stood before the meeting room door, smoothing down the charcoal gray blazer she had carefully ironed the night before. Today was important in an interview for a project manager position at Meridian, one of the most prestigious architectural design firms in Boston. At 28, Sarah knew this could be her only chance to change her life and her mother's. Her mother had called last night, her voice weak but full of hope. She believed in Sarah, knew she would succeed. Those words still echoed in Sarah's mind as she checked her watch. 15 minutes to go? She took a deep breath, trying to calm the trembling in her fingertips. This wasn't just a job. It was the only way she could afford to move her mother to a better hospital, one that could help her fight the cancer that had been tormenting her for the past 2 years. Sarah stepped out onto the 20th floor balcony of the building, where one could see the entire city skyline. She needed air, a moment of calm before walking into this life-changing interview. But just as she leaned against the railing, a small sob caught her attention from the corner of the balcony. A young woman sat huddled there, her slender shoulders shaking with each sob. Her shoulder-length dark hair obscured her face, but Sarah could still see the tears glistening in the afternoon light. She wore a simple black dress, a white blouse, and polished black heels, a perfect office outfit, now crumpled by her sobs. Sarah stood there, hesitating. The clock was ticking precious seconds away, and she knew she should focus on her interview. Not my business. Not right now. She forced herself to keep moving, one step, then another, when a sharp metallic clang rang out from the street. Sarah's head snapped toward the sound, just in time to see a flatbed truck pulling into the construction site, loaded high with supplies. A worker at the rear was attempting to tighten the straps securing the cargo, but he was already too late. A long wooden beam had shifted, its weight unbalanced, and before anyone could react, it slid free, teetering dangerously over the edge of the truck's bed, then suddenly dropped, right toward someone standing on the sidewalk, a young girl, no more than 5 years old, standing frozen in place. Sarah's body moved before her mind could process what was happening. Her heartbeat roared in her ears as she lunged forward, feet pounding against the pavement. She yelled out a warning, but the child, frozen in place, her wide eyes locked onto the falling beam, didn't move. There was no time to think, no time to hesitate. In the last possible second, Sarah threw herself forward, grabbing the girl by the shoulders and yanking her back. The wooden beam slammed into the sidewalk, just inches from where the child had been standing, sending a cloud of dust and splinters into the air. Sarah heard a sharp tearing sound, her blazer sleeve catching on the rough wood, ripping from the elbow down. Her only good blazer, the one she had spent her last few dollars on, the one meant to make a strong impression at her interview, was ruined, but at that moment it didn't matter. The little girl looked up at her with wide, frightened eyes and whispered her thanks, voice trembling. A woman rushed over, her face pale with fear. She called the child's name, Emma, and pulled her into her arms, then looked up at Sarah with tears in her eyes. She expressed her profound gratitude for saving her daughter, explaining that she had only turned away for a second. Sarah nodded, relief washing over her. The mother and daughter walked away, the woman still clutching her child tightly. Sarah glanced at her torn sleeve and sighed. Her interview was in 10 minutes, and now she looked like she'd been in a fight. She returned to the balcony, trying to collect herself, when she noticed the young woman still sitting there, watching her with curious eyes. The woman commented on Sarah's bravery, wiping her tears. Sarah shrugged, embarrassed, dismissing it as something anyone would have done. The woman disagreed, standing up. She believed most people would have frozen. Now that she was standing, Sarah could see her clearly warm brown eyes, still glistening with tears, a small nose slightly red from crying, and thin lips that were still trembling, all coming together to create a fragile beauty that tugged at Sarah's heart. The woman introduced herself as Olivia, extending her hand. Sarah replied with her own name, taking Olivia's hand and noticing how cold her fingers felt. She asked if Olivia was okay, not wanting to pry. Olivia looked down, her shoulders tensing slightly. She admitted to having a bad moment. She had an interview in a few minutes, and her ex had shown up. She paused, swallowing hard, only saying that he wasn't a good person. Sarah nodded, understanding immediately. She asked about Olivia's interview. It was in this building. Olivia confirmed it was at Meridian, for a creative assistant position. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. The same company. Would they be competitors? But she quickly dismissed the thought. Different positions, and besides, she had already helped Olivia. Sarah mentioned she was interviewing there too, for the project manager position. Olivia noticed Sarah's torn sleeve, asking if that was from when she saved the girl. Sarah glanced down and nodded, saying it was fine and she would manage. Olivia disagreed. She slipped off the light cardigan she wore over her blouse and offered it to Sarah. It wasn't a blazer, but it would cover the tear. Sarah hesitated, asking about Olivia. Olivia insisted she would be okay without it. She wanted to help, like Sarah had helped that little girl. Sarah accepted the cardigan with a grateful smile. It was a deep blue that somehow complemented her outfit perfectly. She thanked Olivia and suggested they head inside, as the interviews would be starting soon. As they walked toward the elevator, Sarah couldn't help but wonder what had happened to Olivia. Who had made her cry? What kind of ex had upset her so much? But she knew this wasn't the time to ask. Olivia quietly thanked Sarah, not just for the cardigan, but for being kind. It had been a rough day. Sarah replied that everyone has those days, and sometimes a little kindness goes a long way. The elevator opened on the 23rd floor. As they stepped out, a tall man in a black suit suddenly appeared before them, causing Olivia to flinch and step back, nearly bumping into Sarah. The man told Olivia he had been looking everywhere for her, his voice cold. Olivia's body stiffened. Sarah could feel the fear radiating from her. Olivia stammered his name, James, and reminded him that she had told him clearly they were done. James stepped closer, his eyes threatening. No one ends things with him, he said, especially not when he helped her get this interview. He questioned what she thought she was, saying a small-town girl like her wouldn't have a chance at Meridian without him. Sarah stood there, stunned by the situation unfolding. This must be the person who had upset Olivia, the reason she had been crying. Without thinking, Sarah stepped forward, positioning herself between Olivia and the man. Sarah reminded him they had interviews in 5 minutes, her voice firmer than she expected. She also pointed out that Olivia had been clear they were done. James looked at Sarah with astonishment that quickly turned to anger. He questioned who she was to get involved in their business. Sarah identified herself as someone who doesn't like seeing women being intimidated, though her heart was pounding. She threatened to call security if he didn't leave right away. James looked at Sarah, then at Olivia, his eyes blazing. He warned Olivia not to think this was over. She would never get this job without him. He could ruin everything with just one phone call. With that final threat, he walked away, leaving Sarah and Olivia standing there, both trembling for different reasons. Olivia said Sarah shouldn't have done that, her voice barely above a whisper. James had power. He was friends with the creative director. Sarah felt her heart sink. So James's threat was real. Olivia could lose this job opportunity. And perhaps, Sarah would too, after openly confronting him. Sarah said she didn't care, though she knew that wasn't entirely true. She cared about this job, about the opportunity to save her mother. But she couldn't stand by and watch Olivia being threatened. No one has the right to treat others that way. Olivia looked at Sarah with an expression she couldn't quite read, a mixture of gratitude, surprise, and something deeper. Olivia thanked her, then unexpectedly took Sarah's hand. She thought they should go to the waiting room. In the waiting room, Sarah and Olivia sat next to each other in silence. Sarah tried to focus on her prepared answers for the interview, but her mind kept returning to Olivia, to her tears, to the vulnerability she had witnessed. Olivia suddenly asked why Sarah had helped her, breaking the silence. Sarah thought for a moment. She answered honestly that she didn't know. Maybe because she had been in situations where she needed help, but no one was there. Olivia nodded, as if she understood that feeling all too well. She admitted, never thinking she would end up in a relationship like that. He used to be so kind, or at least she thought so. Then things gradually changed. Controlling words, then too tight grips, and today, ... Sarah placed her hand on Olivia's, a comforting gesture. She told Olivia she didn't deserve to endure that. Just then, Sarah's name was called. It was her turn for the interview. She squeezed Olivia's hand before standing up and whispered good luck. The interview went better than Sarah had expected. The panel seemed impressed with her experience and thorough preparation. When she left the room, Olivia was waiting, her face pale. Olivia said they had called her in right after Sarah. But it was strange, like they had already made up their minds. Sarah felt a surge of anger. James had carried out his threat. He had sabotaged Olivia's chance. Sarah expressed her sympathy, genuinely. Olivia told her not to be sorry. She had already helped so much. And if she didn't get this job because she stood up for herself against a toxic relationship, then maybe it wasn't a place she should work. Sarah was surprised by the unexpected strength from Olivia. The woman who had been crying on the balcony was now standing tall, with a new determination in her eyes. Sarah offered to buy her a coffee, not wanting this encounter to end too soon. She said it was to thank Olivia for the cardigan. Olivia smiled, for the first time since they'd met. She thought she was the one who should be thanking Sarah. They found a small coffee shop nearby, where the late afternoon sunlight filtered through the trees, creating dancing patches of light on their table. In that warm space, Sarah listened as Olivia talked about her toxic relationship with James, about her dream of becoming a graphic designer, and about her life in Boston after leaving her hometown in Vermont. Olivia asked about Sarah, her curious eyes watching over the steam from her coffee cup. She wondered why the job at Meridian was so important to her. Sarah hesitated a bit, then decided to share. She told Olivia about her mother, about the cancer, and about the financial burden weighing her down. Sarah admitted her mother was all she had. When her dad passed away, her mother raised her alone, working tirelessly so she could go to college. Now it was her turn to take care of her. Olivia reached across the table, gently taking Sarah's hand. She called Sarah strong and expressed confidence that she would get the job. At that moment, Sarah's phone rang. An unknown number. With her heart racing, she answered. A professional female voice came through, asking if she was speaking with Sarah Miller. She was calling from Meridian. Sarah looked at Olivia, her eyes wide, and confirmed her identity. The caller informed Sarah she had been selected for the project manager position, and asked if she could start next Monday. Joy exploded inside Sarah, but was immediately tempered by Olivia's gaze. Olivia hadn't received any calls yet. Sarah confirmed she could start on Monday and expressed her gratitude. When she ended the call, Olivia was smiling. She congratulated Sarah, saying she deserved it. Sarah couldn't help but ask about Olivia, if they hadn't called her yet. Olivia shook her head. She thought James had made good on his threat. Sarah felt a surge of injustice. Olivia deserved that chance, and she knew from what Olivia had shared that she had real talent. Sarah said she would talk to them. When she started working, she would talk to them about Olivia. She would show them Olivia's work. Olivia looked at Sarah, surprised. She asked if Sarah would really do that, after everything that happened today, if she still wanted to help. Sarah smiled, asking why not. They had to help each other. When they left the coffee shop, night had begun to fall. They walked together through the busy Boston streets, talking as if they had known each other for years. Sarah said she should give back Olivia's cardigan when they stopped at an intersection. Olivia told her to keep it. A memento of today. Olivia looked at Sarah in the soft yellow streetlight, a long and deep gaze. She asked if she could ask something. She wondered why Sarah had helped her so much when they were strangers. Sarah thought for a moment, wondering how to express the strange feeling that had driven her to act. She finally said that sometimes we meet someone and feel like we've known them for a long time. As if our souls have been looking for each other. Olivia smiled, a radiant smile that warmed Sarah's heart. She knew that feeling. For a moment they stood there, just looking at each other, as if unsure what to do next. Then, Olivia took a step forward, closing the gap between them. Olivia said maybe this wasn't the right time, but she wanted to see Sarah again. Not as friends, not to talk about work, but as something else. Sarah's heart beat faster. She admitted she wanted that too. Olivia smiled, then with an unexpected gesture, she placed a gentle kiss on Sarah's cheek. She whispered until next time, then turned away, disappearing into the busy crowd. Sarah stood there, her hand touching her cheek, where she could still feel the warmth of Olivia's kiss. In one day, she had lost a blazer but gained a new job and a new beginning, a beginning she had never dared to dream of. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unfamiliar number. Thank you for today. Not for the cardigan, but for giving me the courage to start over. Olivia Sarah smiled, her fingers gliding over the screen, typing her response. We can start over together, I'll be waiting. As she pressed send, Sarah knew that whatever the future held, she had found something more precious than just a job. She had found someone who understood her, someone who made her feel less alone. And perhaps, that was the greatest gift of the day.